So this here is a gaming PC that was given to me by a friend to sell. And this PC is a little bit older, but as you can see it's quite a big thing in terms of stature, in terms of size. It is a big PC, and that is due to this case, which is the Hero by EveTech. Now, even back when this was purchased, which at this point is about 5 years ago, this PC wasn't a high-end PC even then. And so it has mid-range components even now, but it is getting a little bit long in the tooth. And even though it is a little bit older, it is still quite good for gaming, especially HD gaming, and even a little bit of 2K gaming. And so what we actually have in this PC is an i5-9400F, which is a capable 6-core processor. It's not the newest thing in the market, but it's still okay for gaming. We have a RX 5700 XT, which is an 8 gigabytes of VRAM card, and you know, there was a time when it was considered a high-end card, and it is even now still quite capable even at 2K, and overall it's quite a good card. And then we also have 16 gigs of RAM, just standard 16 gigs of DDR4 3000 megahertz RAM, and this has obviously this case, which is the EveTech Hero. It's a large case, a lot of metal on it. It comes with 6 RGB fans, ARGB fans, and then a fan controller that is unfortunately broken at the moment, and so the fans are spinning but there's no light. Then we have a 1TB SSD, standard SSD, and we have a 650 watt power supply to power it all. So it's quite a bare bones PC, especially for such a big chassis, but it's not bad. And when it comes to gaming, let me show you why even now this is more than good enough just for general gaming, and this is probably all that you need. So with that said, let's benchmark it, let's see how it does, and I'm quite sure it'll surprise you. Stay with me. Okay, so firstly here we have Doom Eternal, and this is running at HD high settings, and I've already gotten to the outside because it's a little bit more demanding, and we are getting around 100 FPS over here, which is actually quite good. Let's see, let's get this upgrade here. So, you know, 100 FPS is not bad at all, and the game feels incredibly smooth. It really feels good. So let's see what happens when we get into a little bit of combat. Yeah, it's running quite well, still around 100. Well, that ability really eats your ammo. Let's put back the So yeah, I mean, this is running well. It is at around, like, I would say probably like 90 to 120 most of the time. It doesn't really go below 90. And you know, you probably can't see this because it's a little bit far away, but we are averaging, I would say, around 110 at this point, and I think if we do interiors it would probably be closer to 130, 140 or something like that, because we've only really done outside areas at this point. Let's see how it does here with a lot of combat, because we have quite a few enemies. And yeah, I mean, it's doing well. We are at around 100 to 130 still, so I mean, you can't really complain about that. And I think this is the kind of game where, you know, the CPU does matter, but the GPU is sort of like the most important thing here. And I mean, yeah, it's very playable. It's smooth, and on a screen like this with a 60 Hz refresh rate, it is, you know, it's even more than you need. You could probably play this on the maximum settings and get around, I would say, let's see what happens. If we put this up to Ultra Nightmare, what happens? Not much really, it's actually almost exactly the same. So that's interesting. So we are running this now at Ultra Nightmare, and yeah, it is still around. Right now it is at 100, and it shoots a lot, that's the thing. It goes from like 75 to 130. But I mean, look, this is a good result. If you consider that this is now running at maximum graphics, I think this is a very good result. So not much to say, can't really complain. And you know, this was even an exterior scene, so it's a little bit more difficult to run. So this game did really well. I'm very surprised, and if you want to play games like these, this PC is going to be very capable still. Okay, so here we have Tomb Raider, and this is running at high settings. So it's not the maximum settings, it is, you know, just high. But it is running at, you know, native HD, and yeah, I mean, this game does have some areas that are more CPU dependent, but a 6-core CPU will still be more than good enough to play this at a respectable sort of frame rate. And right now this is getting around 75 FPS in one of the more dense areas in the game, so we can expect this to be a good baseline. It'll probably be at around 100 most of the time. And so far it's, you know, it's quite a good result considering that we are running at high settings. In this next scene we are sort of at around the same point. It seems to like 75 as a baseline, but it does shoot around quite a lot. And you know, even at HD, this is a beautiful game, and this game is, you know, 5 years old or even 7 years old, but it is still a very good looking game with some amazing nature scenes. And yeah, it's even now it's not the easiest thing to run on some systems, but it is quite well optimized at this point. I wonder whether there is some sort of adaptive VSync on the game right now, because we are seeing that 75 mark. It kind of seems to revert to that, which is interesting. So I wonder if there is it might just be the fact that VSync is enabled, but even so, you would have no screen tearing, and as you can see, it is a good result, because I think that's what's happening. But I mean, look at how smooth and stable this scene is with the backdrop there. I think it looks really good, and it is running really well. Now I know it can probably do above 75, but if you're looking for a smooth experience, it might be a good idea to limit yourself to your screen's refresh rate in some games. And Tomb Raider is a game that is quite prone to spiking. So in a game like this, it might be smart to actually do this, because you are allowing the game to run at a very stable FPS, and you know, 75 is going to feel great for a game like this, a game where there's a lot of platforming and action, but it's not an online shooter. So yeah, 75 average is a fantastic result, and this PC is doing really well so far. Let's move on to the next test. So this next one here is Hitman, and this is an older game at this point, but it is still the same one that the newer Hitman games are based on, so it is still quite relevant. And right off the bat we are running this on HD Ultra, and we are getting right now 57 average FPS. The game looks really good even now, and yeah, this is quite a stable result so far. The minimum FPS is, you know, just under 12, which is a little bit low, but the maximum is 240. So this PC has been quite prone to big ranges in FPS numbers, which is interesting. Sometimes that doesn't feel for the smoothest experience, but I mean, this looks quite smooth, and we are getting around 60 FPS for the most part. The average is rising, but it is mostly above 60 now. And you know, I think in a PC like this, the graphics card is a little bit stronger than the CPU, because the CPU is only a 6-core. So if you were to put maybe a 9th gen i7 in this PC, or even a 2nd gen Ryzen, that would be more suited to this graphics card. So we do have a little bit of a bottleneck on the CPU there, and I would probably add another 16 gigs of RAM. But you know, regardless of that, I think the result is fine. It is averaging 59 right now, so it'll probably end at around 60. And I mean, it's a smooth result, it's a good experience, and you could easily play this on 2K with these same settings and get pretty much the same result. So not the highest FPS there, averaging around 60, but still very good. I've decided to run this test again, but this time I've uncapped the VSync, and we're running the game on DirectX 12, which can be a little bit unstable for this game. But I was just curious to see what happens when we uncap the VSync. So right now there is no VSync, and right off the bat our FPS is higher than what it was, and even in DirectX 12 mode. So right now we are rising in terms of the average FPS number, but as you can see in some of the artifacting, there is a bit of screen tearing, and that's the thing about VSync, is it prevents that from happening even without anti-aliasing. So right now we are at around 70 FPS average. Now I'm not going to let the whole test run, I was just a little bit curious. So I think this would end at around 80 because some of the more chilled scenes are still coming up and the FPS is rising. But you know, VSync on or off, it's close, and in that case I would just put VSync on. So good result here, and let's talk about it. So I didn't have time to test 5 or 6 games, I only tested 3. But you know, the ones that I did test, even though they were a little bit older, they actually did quite well, which you know makes sense given the age of the system, as well as the age of the games, and those would line up quite nicely. But you know, it is actually quite a decent system when you really think about it. The graphics card, of course, is the big boy in the system, being the 5700 XT, and this is the MSI variant. Now this is not the best MSI shroud around, but it's okay. And the rest of the PC is very standard. You know, it's got a 6-core CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, and everything else is just kind of as basic as it comes. But sometimes that's okay, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And personally, I wouldn't put this size components in this size case. It looks a little bit weird to me when you have so much open space. I would do a much smaller chassis or a much bigger motherboard. But you know, for the spec that this is, the case is just overkill. But the PC itself is not that bad, and you could get something like this now for, I mean, we're going to now sell this PC, and that's why I'm in a hurry. That's why I couldn't test that many games. But we're going to now sell this PC, and it's probably going to go for about 8,000 Rand, which is about $500, $450, $500. And so, you know, for that kind of money, you can still get a very capable gaming PC, because this would be somewhere between a Series S and X, around, you know, close to a PS5 in terms of gaming spec. The CPU is lagging behind, but the GPU is quite good. And so, yeah, just overall, this is a good system. We did get about... you know, we reached our VSync refresh rates with the games that we tested, or we got about, you know, close to 130 on Doom average, and everything was running at high to ultra. So overall, still a very good system. You can't go wrong buying something like this if you just want to play games at HD, maybe even 2K going into 2025, well, going further into it. So not too bad, especially for the money, and yeah, it was quite fun to test this one. I haven't tested something like this in a while. So thank you for watching. What did you think about the PC? Is it getting a little bit too long in the tooth now, or is there still a place in the market for stuff like this? Thanks for watching, let me know down below, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.